Kody and Robyn lied about their rental mansion to forfeit money from others. Kody and Robyn Brown have been the center of controversy for years, but their latest scandal might be one of their biggest yet. While they have always portrayed themselves as struggling financially, new revelations suggest that the couple may have deliberately misled fans, family, and even financial institutions about their lavish lifestyle. The focus of this deception? Their massive rental mansion, which they have repeatedly claimed was a temporary solution to their ongoing housing struggles. But as more details emerge, it appears that Kody and Robyn may have had ulterior motives, using their supposed housing woes as a way to manipulate others into giving them financial help. Ever since Kody legally married Robyn and made her the only legal wife in the Brown family, suspicions have grown about how money is handled within the family. While Christine, Yanel, and Mary were struggling to secure their own financial futures, Kody and Robyn seemed to live in comfort, always managing to secure the best housing situation. When the family moved to Flagstaff, Kody insisted that renting was the only option for him and Robyn, despite pushing his other wives toward buying or living in less desirable conditions. The rental mansion he secured for Robyn was nothing short of extravagant, with stunning mountain views, multiple bedrooms, and luxurious amenities that did not match the narrative of financial hardship they were selling. For years, Kody and Robyn played the role of victims, repeatedly claiming that they could not buy a home due to financial constraints. They insisted that their only option was to rent, despite the fact that their rental home's price tag was far beyond what most of the other wives could afford. While Yanel was struggling to figure out how to build on Coyote Pass and Christine was living in a modest home before eventually selling it, Robyn was living in a mansion with a hefty price tag. This raised questions about where the money was coming from and why Kody and Robyn were making choices that seemed contradictory to their public statements about being financially strapped. The deception deepened when it was revealed that Robyn and Kody had multiple opportunities to purchase a home or downsize but refused. Robyn, in particular, was adamant about staying in a rental, claiming that it gave them more flexibility and that they could not qualify for a mortgage. However, financial experts and fans quickly pointed out that the amount of money they were spending on rent was more than enough to qualify for a home purchase. Instead of taking logical steps to secure their future, they continued to pour money into renting an expensive home, which made little financial sense unless there was another motive behind it. Many now believe that Kody and Robyn deliberately maintained the illusion of financial hardship to forfeit money from others, whether it was from the network that funded sister wives, financial assistance from other family members, or even contributions from fans and supporters. By constantly portraying themselves as struggling, they may have been able to secure better financial deals, avoid financial responsibilities that would have come with home ownership, and even push some of the other wives into making financial decisions that benefited them rather than the family as a whole. Another aspect of this alleged deception is how Kody and Robyn handled the Coyote Pass property. From the beginning, Kody insisted that Coyote Pass was the future of the family, pressuring his wives to invest in land that he claimed they would all eventually build on. However, as time went on, it became clear that Robyn was never truly committed to the idea. She showed reluctance every time the subject was brought up, often expressing concerns that contradicted Kody's supposed enthusiasm for the property. This led many to suspect that Kody never truly intended to build on Coyote Pass at all, and that it was merely a distraction to keep the other wives occupied while he secured a better situation for himself and Robyn. Even as Yanel struggled to make sense of her financial situation and was forced to live in an RV, Kody and Robyn continued living comfortably in their rental mansion. Instead of stepping in to support Yanel, who had been financially responsible for much of the family's expenses over the years, Kody distanced himself from her struggles. He frequently used excuses, claiming that his hands were tied and that he could not do anything about the situation. However, the reality was that he and Robyn had more than enough resources to help, but they chose not to. Instead, they seemed to be hoarding financial security for themselves while letting the other wives fend for themselves. Robyn has always played the role of the innocent wife, claiming that she does not want to be in charge of the family's financial decisions. However, her actions say otherwise. She has consistently been the one who benefits the most from the financial decisions Kody makes, and she rarely questions his choices when they work in her favor. She conveniently agreed with Kody whenever he justified expensive decisions that primarily benefited her, but when it came to decisions that would have supported the other wives, she often took a backseat, claiming she did not want to get involved. Another key detail in this financial deception is how Kody and Robyn reacted when they were finally forced to purchase a home. After years of insisting that they could not buy due to financial struggles, they suddenly managed to secure a $900,000 home when their rental situation was at risk. This completely contradicted everything they had said before. If they had the ability to purchase all along, why did they continue to insist that they could not? Many believe the answer lies in their strategy of keeping financial burdens off themselves while taking advantage of the sympathy of others. By pretending they had no choice but to rent, they may have been able to avoid paying certain taxes, qualify for financial assistance, or even convince the other wives to make sacrifices that ultimately benefited them. Kody has always been known for his manipulative tactics, but this situation with the rental mansion takes it to another level. His ability to convince people that he is struggling, while living in luxury, is something that has frustrated fans for years. This is not the first time he has played the victim while secretly securing the best outcome for himself and Robyn. Over the years, he has repeatedly used emotional manipulation, false narratives, and financial schemes to maintain his position of power, even as the family crumbled around him. The fallout from this deception is already beginning to show. Christine was the first to walk away from Kody's financial games, selling her home and securing her independence. Yanel soon followed, realizing that she had spent years investing in a family structure that was never going to benefit her. Even Mary, who held on for longer than most expected, eventually saw the truth and distanced herself from Kody's control. Now, with most of the wives gone, Kody and Robyn are left to deal with the consequences of their actions. Sister Wives patriarch Kody Brown's recent parenting advice proves he's learned nothing from his mistakes. Kody Brown has spent years presenting himself as a devoted father, a leader of his once massive polygamous family, and a man whose choices were always guided by his deep commitment to his wives and children. However, his recent parenting advice makes one thing abundantly clear: he has learned nothing from his past mistakes. Instead of taking accountability for his failures, Kody continues to victimize himself, deflecting blame and reinforcing the same toxic patterns that tore his family apart in the first place. For years, Sister Wives fans have watched as Kody's relationships with his children crumbled before their eyes. His fractured bond with several of his older kids, particularly those from his marriages with Yanel and Christine, is no secret. While he once painted himself as a father who was doing his best under complicated circumstances, the truth is far more disappointing. Many of his children have expressed deep resentment toward him, feeling abandoned, neglected, or outright dismissed during crucial moments in their lives. Instead of reflecting on these failures, Kody has taken a different approach, offering parenting advice that is completely detached from reality. In recent discussions, Kody has attempted to position himself as a source of wisdom on how to raise children in a plural family. He has spoken about the importance of respect, obedience, and maintaining strong parental authority. But the irony is hard to ignore: these are the very areas where he has repeatedly fallen short. His words ring hollow when considering how many of his own children have distanced themselves from him. His advice is not rooted in experience or growth, but in a desperate attempt to maintain the illusion that he was, and still is, a good father. One of the most glaring problems with Kody's parenting approach is his belief that his children owe him unwavering loyalty and respect, regardless of how he treats them. Over the years, his interactions with his older kids have revealed a disturbing pattern: he expects their deference without earning it. Many of his sons and daughters, especially Garrison and Gabriel, have made it clear that their father's lack of presence, empathy, and understanding has deeply wounded them. And yet, Kody refuses to acknowledge their pain. Instead, he claims that they have been influenced by their mothers or outside forces, further positioning himself as the victim rather than the cause of the rift. His recent parenting advice follows the same misguided logic. Rather than focusing on building meaningful relationships with his children or admitting where he went wrong, he emphasizes obedience and discipline. His tone suggests that his children should be the ones to bridge the gap, reach out to him, and mend the fractures in their relationships. This mindset completely ignores the reality of his role in their estrangement. If anything, it shows that Kody still believes he was right all along, despite overwhelming evidence that his approach to fatherhood has done more harm than good. What makes his lack of accountability even more infuriating is the way he rewrites history to serve his narrative. Time and again, he has blamed Christine and Yanel for the breakdowns in his relationships with their children. He claims that they turned the kids against him, sowing seeds of discord and creating an environment of hostility. But the truth is far simpler. His children felt neglected and unimportant, and they responded accordingly. During the height of the pandemic, Kody's parenting was put under a microscope like never before. His strict and often unreasonable rules led to severe tensions within the family. While he imposed harsh guidelines on some households, he seemed far more relaxed when it came to his time with Robyn and their children. His favoritism was no longer just an unspoken reality, it was blatantly obvious. When his older children pushed back, asking for fairness and consistency, Kody reacted with defensiveness instead of compassion. Rather than listening to their frustrations, he doubled down, punishing them with emotional distance. It is this same lack of self-awareness that defines his current stance on parenting. His advice centers around the idea that children should listen to their fathers, regardless of circumstances. But what he fails to understand is that respect is a two-way street. His children are not upset with him because they are rebellious or ungrateful. They are hurt because they feel discarded. The fact that he still refuses to acknowledge this reality speaks volumes about his inability to grow as a father. His victim mentality is perhaps the most damaging aspect of his parenting philosophy. Instead of taking responsibility, he casts himself as the wronged party. He speaks about the pain of being alienated from his children but rarely acknowledges what led to this estrangement in the first place. His words carry an underlying message. He sees himself as the father who tried, the man who did his best, only to be unfairly rejected by his ungrateful kids. This narrative is not just inaccurate but also harmful, as it shifts blame away from where it truly belongs. The emotional damage caused by Kody's actions is not something that can be undone with empty words or misguided advice. His children needed a father who was present, fair, and emotionally available. Instead, they got a man who prioritized control over connection, discipline over dialogue, and power over parental love. His failure to recognize this is precisely why his advice is not just flawed but completely irrelevant. Even now, with so many of his children keeping their distance, Kody does not seem interested in true reconciliation. If he were, he would not be offering broad, outdated parenting advice. He would be making real efforts to repair his relationships. That would mean apologizing to his children without conditions, listening to their pain without defensiveness, and proving through actions, not words, that he has changed. But none of that seems to be happening. Instead, he continues to dig in his heels, reinforcing the same attitudes that drove his children away in the first place. Kody's inability to grow as a father mirrors his broader failures as a husband and a family leader. The same patterns that led to the collapse of his marriages are now playing out in his parental relationships. Just as he failed to see how his selfishness, arrogance, and favoritism pushed Christine, Yanel, and Mary away, he is now failing to see how those same qualities have fractured his bond with his children. If there is one undeniable truth in all of this, it is that Kody Brown has not changed. His recent parenting advice is not a reflection of wisdom gained through experience, but a desperate attempt to hold on to a reality that no longer exists. He is not guiding future parents with valuable insights. He is trying to justify his own failures. And as long as he continues to victimize himself rather than taking real accountability, his relationships, with his children and with anyone else, will remain broken. For years, Sister Wives fans have watched Kody's downfall unfold in slow motion. His unwillingness to listen, his obsession with control, and his blatant favoritism have all contributed to the collapse of the family he once prided himself on leading. His children are no longer willing to accept his excuses, and neither are the viewers who have followed this journey for over a decade. Yanel Brown sells late son Garrison's home 9 months after his death. Yanel Brown has made the heartbreaking decision to sell the home of her late son, Garrison Brown, just 9 months after his tragic passing. The decision has left fans of Sister Wives deeply moved, as they understand the immense emotional weight that comes with parting ways with a place filled with memories of a lost loved one. For Yanel, this was not just a financial decision but a deeply personal and emotional one, marking yet another painful chapter in her journey of grief. Garrison, whose full name was Robert Garrison Brown, was one of Yanel and Kody Brown's 6 children. His sudden and unexpected death sent shockwaves through the sister wives community, leaving fans heartbroken and devastated for Yanel. Known for his independent spirit, love for adventure, and determination to carve out his own path away from the complexities of the Brown family dynamic, Garrison had built a life for himself outside of his father's influence. His home was a symbol of that independence, a place where he had found peace, and where he had begun shaping his future on his own terms. For Yanel, selling Garrison's home was undoubtedly one of the most difficult decisions she has ever had to make. Letting go of a space so deeply connected to her son meant facing the reality of his absence in a new and profound way. In the months following his death, Yanel was vocal about her grief, sharing heartfelt messages and moments of remembrance for her beloved son. She has always been known for her strength and resilience, but even the strongest hearts break under the weight of such a devastating loss. The home itself was more than just a property, it was a symbol of Garrison's hard work and determination. Unlike many of Kody and Robyn's children, who remained financially dependent on the family or lived under their father's rules, Garrison chose to step away. He worked tirelessly to support himself, serving in the National Guard and pursuing his dreams. His home was a representation of everything he had worked for, a safe space where he was free to be himself, away from the drama and tension that plagued the Brown family. When news broke that Yanel was selling Garrison's home, fans were immediately struck with emotion. Many understood that the house likely held too many painful memories for Yanel to continue holding on to it. Walking through its rooms, seeing his belongings, and being reminded daily of his absence would have been unbearable. The decision to sell was not about erasing Garrison's memory but about allowing herself to move forward in her grief. Yanel's grief has been made even more complex by the fractured nature of her relationship with Kody. In the wake of Garrison's passing, many wondered how Kody would respond. His strained relationship with Garrison had been well documented on Sister Wives, with many believing that Kody's rigid rules and emotional distance had driven a wedge between him and his son. Garrison, like his brother Gabe, had grown increasingly frustrated with their father's favoritism toward Robyn and her children, feeling neglected and dismissed. Kody's reaction to Garrison's death was scrutinized by fans, as many believed he had failed to truly show up for his son when it mattered most. Yanel, on the other hand, had always been a steadfast and loving presence in Garrison's life, supporting him in every way she could. In the aftermath of his passing, Yanel leaned on her other children, particularly Gabe, who was incredibly close to his brother. The sale of the home signals a shift in Yanel's grieving process. While she will never stop mourning Garrison, she is finding ways to move forward while keeping his memory alive. Some fans speculated that selling the house was a way for her to release herself from the overwhelming sadness that came with being surrounded by constant reminders of his absence. Others wondered if financial concerns played a role in the decision. Yanel has always been financially independent, unlike some of the other sister wives who relied heavily on Kody's decisions. However, with the uncertainty surrounding sister wives and the changing dynamics of the family, she may have seen selling the home as a practical move. Real estate is a significant asset, and by letting go of the property, she may be giving herself more freedom to make future decisions about where she wants to be. The emotional weight of selling the home was evident when Yanel spoke about it. While she did not go into great detail about her reasoning, those who know her well understand that this was not an easy choice. Every piece of furniture, every framed photo, every little corner of the home carried echoes of Garrison's presence. Letting go of it was not about moving on but about finding a way to continue living while carrying his memory with her. Fans of Sister Wives have expressed overwhelming support for Yanel, recognizing the immense pain she must be going through. Messages of love and condolences poured in as people acknowledged the difficulty of parting with something so deeply tied to a lost loved one. Many shared their own stories of grief, relating to the painful decision of letting go of a home filled with memories. Yanel's strength in this moment is a testament to the kind of mother she has always been. She has faced numerous challenges in her life, from navigating the complexities of polygamy to standing up for herself against Kody's controlling ways. Through it all, she has remained fiercely devoted to her children, always prioritizing their well-being above all else. As she takes this next step in her journey, many are wondering what the future holds for Yanel. Some believe she may choose to relocate, finding a new place where she can start fresh. Others speculate that she might use the funds from the home sale to invest in new opportunities, perhaps even finally building on Coyote Pass, though that dream has become less and less likely over time. One thing is certain, Yanel's love for Garrison will never fade. She has made it clear that he will always be a part of her, no matter where she goes or what she does next.